get yourself ready for your morning practice. So sit yourself onto a lift. Just come into a good cross-legged position. Have a little wriggle about. Make sure that you feel that you're positioned evenly. Hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest. And then draw your shoulders away from your ears. Just spend a moment just to acknowledge your levelness, or otherwise levelness at the hips. And that doesn't happen straight away, so you might need to make some adjustments. Look down at the floor, look at something that isn't moving. Focus on filling your lungs from the bottom to the top and emptying them from the top to the bottom. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste, press the palms firmly together. Lengthen from your armpits into your elbows. Take a deep inhalation, and with the following exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Just maintain your consciousness of your balance. Again, adjusting if it feels like you're not balanced on both seat bones evenly. Focus on filling the lungs evenly from the bottom to the top, and emptying your lungs from the top to the bottom, emptying them evenly. With an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area, and then release your hands down onto your knees. Bring the palms facing upwards, connecting the tips of the index finger with the tips of the thumb. Just a gesture of wisdom and physical intelligence and peacefulness that we can carry into our practice. gently raise your head, allow your eyes to gently open. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down and draw your chin forwards and down to meet your chest. Take a deep inhalation, and with an exhalation, raise your chin up to the ceiling. Take a deep inhalation, and following the exhalation, draw the chin back down to meet the chest. Take a deep inhalation, and with the exhalation, raise the chin up to the ceiling. Pushing the chin as high to the ceiling as you can go. And with an exhalation, bring the head back level. Take a deep inhalation, and then bring, with the exhalation, the right ear over to the right shoulder, feeling the stretch of the left side of the neck. Take an inhalation, and with the following exhalation, left ear over towards the left shoulder. Take an inhalation, and with the exhalation, right ear over towards the right shoulder, keeping the shoulders down, just stretching out the sides of the neck. After the inhalation, with the exhalation, come back to the center and over to the left. And then with an exhalation, come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, take a deep inhalation, and with an exhalation, draw your chin around towards the right shoulder. Just gently does it. Just turning to the right, take a deep inhalation, and then with the exhalation, bring the chin across to the left shoulder. Keeping the shoulders down. With an exhalation, come back to the center and over to the right. And with an exhalation, bring the chin across to the center and over to the left. And then with an exhalation, come back to the center. This time, keep your head really still, so you're turning the shoulders, not the neck. Take a deep inhalation, lifting the heart area to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down, and with the exhalation, turn the torso to the right side, drawing the abdomen, the ribs and the shoulders, but keeping the neck still, just looking forwards as you turn, so that your chin remains in line with your collarbone, with the center of the collarbone. Just listen to the breath, drawing the abdomen across and the ribs and the shoulders. Breathing evenly, using the out breath to intensify your turn. And then come back to the center, hold onto your knees. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to left. Drawing your abdomen across your ribs and your shoulders. And and then gently come back to the center. Again, holding onto your knees, lifting the chest up to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. And then come off your lift, down onto your knees, sit back on your heels, so have the big toes together, the knees apart. You can make some space in the backs of the knees by drawing the calf flesh away from the knees, rolling the calves out, and then sitting down into the seat of your heels. Try and roll into the inner heels. So the inner heels kind of try and slide their way up to the hips. Elevate your heart area up towards the ceiling, lifting deeply into the heart area, and then stretch forwards, extending forwards, and then come down. Just feeling the two-way extension, drawing the tailbone and the seat bones down towards the heels. Try and maintain that connection between the seat bones and the heels, and at the same time, so you've got to do that by pushing your hands into the floor and hitting back. Have a folded blanket or a block between the seat bones and the heels if there's no contact. At the same time, lengthen from the hips into the armpits, into the palms, into the fingers, into the hands. Hands into the fingers, into the fingernails. So feel that there is a two-way stretch. Pushing the hands deeply into the floor and extending away at the same time. Just feel the openness around the lumbar spine. Try and broaden the lumbar spine. Just come up onto your fingertips, lift your head, and just make sure you've got space either side if you can. You'll probably find it difficult to maintain the connection of the seat bone. So lift your head, be on fingertips, and then walk your hands over, your arms over to the right side. Keep on the fingertips and feel that you really extend, especially into that left trunk. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And then walk your hands back to the center. Keeping your head lifted, walk your hands over to the left, just stretching out that right side of the trunk. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, keeping the head lifted, keeping the seat bones down, but they will lift, but try and draw them down to the floor and then walk them back. Walk your hands back to the center, spread the fingers again, and then just come back into Ardha Mukha Virasana. Just see if it's perhaps easier to get contact between the seat bones and the heels. And then bring the hands underneath your shoulders and then sit yourself up. Just sit back on your heels. Just observe how you feel more perhaps open in the shoulders, and then walk your hands back. So walk your hands back so that you have your hands underneath your shoulders. So hands underneath the shoulders, fingers pointing towards your knees, and then consciously press the hands into the floor. At the same time, lift from the wrists into the elbows, into the armpits, so that you really open up the chest. So you might just want to stay here. If you want to go, and if you don't have a problem with your back, you can turn the tailbone in a little more so that the thighs really respond, and then you can lift the seat bones up off the floor. You can extend into the chin, but keep the arms lifting from the wrists into the armpits to keep the chest lifted. Keep the shins stamping firmly into the floor, turning the tailbone in as you go. And then bring the seat bones back down onto your heels. And then come back, just sitting back on your heels, just feeling how that activated your quads. So breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, observing the energy in your arms. Come up onto your all fours. Have your little fingers on the edge of the mat, stretching the thumbs towards each other. Turn your toes under and then come up into dog down. Just breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations, activating the kneecaps. Pressing the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees. Activating the fronts of the thighs, pressing the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs, feeling that the backs of the legs can open as you push the fronts of the legs through to the backs. Maintain long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. In and out through the nose if you can. Observe and correct your balance of action. Step your feet forwards and then come up into standing position, and then have your feet as wide apart as your mat. If you know that you have difficulties with your back, then you're going to do half uttanasana. So half uttanasana is coming forwards, extending forwards like this. Otherwise, you're going to do full uttanasana. So either way, have your feet as wide apart as the mat, toes turned in. So the outside edge of your foot lines up with the edge of the mat. That action gives you space in the hips. So it's really important to get those heels hitting outwards a little. Lift up into the chest, raise your arms. So you can come into half uttanasana this way, or if you've got a bad back, you can come in with your hands on your back, on your hips, and then come forwards. Otherwise, bring the thumbs into the crease of the elbows, wrap your fingers around your elbows, and then keep the head lifted, keep the arms lifted, keep the back straight as you hinge at the hips, and then hang down. So you need to work the legs determinedly. Feel where your weight is in your heels. If you're in half uttanasana, activate the legs and then extend into the spine. If you're in full uttanasana, activate the legs and consciously extend into the spine. So the spine won't extend until the legs are extended, until the legs are lifted, until the legs are conscious. So just feel your balance of action. So all yoga poses have to start with observation. Observation then leads to activation. But just observe how the body responds to the pose to start off with. If you're in full uttanasana, just reach down to the floor and extend in half uttanasana. If you can't reach the floor, then find the shins, extending the spine away, or use the blocks if you've got them handy. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, extending the spine away. bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into a standing position. Just be in Tadasana. Have the inner edge of the feet touching. Just observe your energy. Just observe your balance of action. So Tadasana is an active pose. Are you actively engaging with it, or are you just waiting to move into the next pose? So tighten the kneecaps. Turn the fronts of the legs inwards. So the backs of the legs broaden outwards. Tuck the tailbone in. Draw the abdomen to the spine, lift up into the heart area. Lengthening down from the shoulders into the fingertips. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump your feet nice and wide. So when you stretch your arms out, your feet should be as wide apart as your wrists. Turn your left toes in, the right leg and foot all the way out, and then come down into trikonasana. So yesterday we were concentrating on the sensations of the pose, observing that perhaps in a pose like trikonasana, all of your attention and probably weight rolls down into that right leg. So activate the left leg. If you feel it in the hamstrings in the right leg, then try and activate the mirror image in the left leg. Really bring evenness to the action of the legs. And then your pose transforms from the inside. Feel where the body is in 3 dimensions. Feel where the hips are in relation to the feet, especially that front foot. Breathe in and out through the nose if you can. Come back to the center. Swap the feet around. And then come down into the left side. Again, just observing the sensation of the pose and aiming to activate the back leg as much as the front. Feel the pose in 3 dimensions. Can you find evenness of action between the left leg and the right leg? So you have to more forcefully work that that right leg, the back leg, to find that evenness. Come back to the center, bring your feet parallel, and then step or jump the feet back together. Just reactivate your Tadasana, and just use your Tadasana to bring energy back into the body. Just breathe in long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. So we're going to do padangusthasana. You may need a belt for this pose. So if you know that you can't reach your toes, then you can get the belt and then hook the big toes into the belt like this. And then you come forward hinging at the hips, keeping the back straight, and you just go as far as you can. So you don't do this, you don't round the back, you keep your back straight. So if you know that you can touch your toes, then have the feet hip width apart. You can always go slightly wider if you're kind of almost there with your touching the toes. But we need to get hold of the big toes. So with the index finger and the thumb, you're going to hook those underneath the big toes, and then you're going to wrap the thumb around the inside of the big toe. So just have your hands on your hips and turn your toes inwards. Again, like Uttanasana earlier on, the more you can turn your toes in, the more it gives you space in your hips. And you need space in your hips for this pose. Have your hands on your hips, lift up into the chest. Activate your legs. Just spend a moment to observe if you are activating the legs evenly. Hinge at the hips, keeping your hands on your hips. So you can do it with your arms outstretched, but that can be quite strong on your back. This whole pose can be strong on your back, so just be cautious of coming forwards too far if you're not ready. And then reach down, get hold of the big toe with the index finger and the middle finger. Wrap the thumb around the back of the inside of the big toe. And then work to lift the seat bones away from the heels. Lift the seat bones to the ceiling. Have a little tug of war with your big toes. Stamp it down. Try and rip it out of the floor. And then project the chin and the chest forward. So the more you activate those legs, the more you lift the seat bones, the more you turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, the more you can pick up the seat bones, the more you can then extend into the spine. And then if you can keep in the back straight, keeping the head lifted, bend your elbows out to the side and draw yourself through the space between your legs. But keep really deeply observant of your seat bones, of the consciousness of your back, lifting the seat bones away from your heels. And then just release the toes, come into half Uttanasana. Bring the hands to the floor or onto the shins, and then bring your hands into your hips, and then come up into a standing position. And then just be in Tadasana for a moment, lift up into the chest. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. So the next kind of logical step is padahastasana. So I'll show you. So it's where you come forwards in the same way as you did last time, but this time instead of getting hold of the big toe, you bring the back of the hand underneath the foot, the sole of the foot in contact with the sole of the foot in contact with the palm of the hand, and then again extending forwards in the same way. So if you know that you're not going to get there, then you can get a blanket and then just lift your feet, the fronts of your feet onto the blanket, and have the heel on the floor, and then use the belt again. So use the belt as you need to, and just really work to extend into the spine. If you suspect that you won't be able to get your hands all the way underneath your feet, then you can use the belt and just stay with the belt and do the previous pose. With the feet elevated slightly. Lift up into the chest, tighten the kneecaps, wing the elbows back, and then come forwards, hinging at the hips. So you can do this with your arms outstretched, but I find that a bit harder on my back. And you can keep the back straighter with your hands on your hips, I think. Lift your toes and place the hands underneath the feet. So the backs of the hands are on the floor, the palms of the hands in contact with the soles of the feet. And then just feel your weight. Maybe you've brought all of your weight onto your hands, but I want you to hit the shins back so that the weight goes onto your heels. Turn the fronts of the shins inwards, tighten the kneecaps, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Get those legs straight, lift in the seat bones, and then extend into the spine. Padahastasana. Pad, foot, hasta, hands, so foot on hand pose. Lengthening into the spine. And then again, if you can bend your elbows out to the sides, drawing the body through the gap between your legs, but working with the consciousness that your heels are wider apart than your big toes. So if they're not, step them apart. But working with the consciousness of keeping the spine long, keeping the head lifted. Okay, release your hands, then bring the hands back into half uttanasana. Use blocks or your shins if you can't reach for half uttanasana. And then walk your hands towards the end of the mat. And then bring your hands wide apart. So you bring your hands shoulder width apart. Step your feet back. Bring your feet hip width apart. And then lengthen into dog down. Hitting the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. Turning the fronts of the thighs inwards. Listening to the breath. And then come down onto your knees. Sit back on your heels. Lift it up into the chest. And then just gently come forwards into Adho Mukha virasana. Just wriggling into the hips. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Push yourself up onto your heels, lifting up into the chest. Breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. And then come down onto your back and into supta padangusthasana. So just feel that the floor supports you. Broadening the fronts of the hips, put blocks underneath your thighs if you need support in the hips, but otherwise just let gravity do the work of opening up the hips. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Just have your hands on the lower ribs. And feel that as you inhale, you expand the chest. And as you exhale, the chest relaxes. Raise your arms up and then hook the thumbs together like you're going to create a little butterfly silhouette. Try and pull the hands apart and then lengthen your arms along the floor. If there is discomfort in your shoulders, have a folded blanket or some blocks underneath your hands to support your shoulders. Otherwise, just use the floor. Press the heels together, press the feet together, turn the tailbone in, draw the abdomen to the spine, lengthen from the hips into the armpits, into the elbows, the wrists, the palms, and try and pull those palms away from each other, but keep the thumbs hooked. And then release the thumbs, hook the thumbs the other way round, and then again try and pull the palms apart, spreading the fingers, feeling that length along the side ribs, pressing the feet together, drawing the belly button down to the floor, turning the tailbone into the ceiling a little. Working with determination. And then release, just release your arms, rest your hands on your lower ribs, let the legs just relax for a moment, just relax into supta padangusthasana. Observe the difference in the physical body from the same pose, but one where you activate internally on a really deep level and one where you relax. So relaxation is, of course, massively important. It usually comes towards the end of the session, of course, but we earn the relaxation through the sequence of the poses. So just letting gravity draw your knees down a little closer to the floor. And then gently draw your knees together, pull your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just easing out any tension in your back. And then gently rock yourself up into a seated position. And then just come into cross legs for a moment. Just feel your way into cross legs, or into, if you can do half padmasana, then do half padmasana. If you need to sit on a lift, then sit yourself on a lift. So this can be quite strong for your back. It's a forward bending action in swastikasana. So you can use blocks for your hands, or if you're really uncertain of your back, just stay at this stage, just lifting up into the chest. So hold onto your knees to start off with and lift the heart area up to the ceiling. Bring your hands to the sides of the hips. Press the fingers into the floor like you want to lift your hips up off the floor. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other and lift your heart area up to the ceiling. And then just, if your back is okay, then with your hands still on the floor, try and guide a forward bend from the chest, lifting the chest, keeping your head lifted as you come forwards. And then release the hands. You can use blocks for your hands, just walking them forwards, or just come directly down onto the floor. Keep the heart area lifted, keep the head lifted And then stretch your arms away. Now at some stage your seat bones will start to lift, so push the hands into the floor like you're doing Adho Mukha Virasana, but it'll just be fingertips, and try and press the seat bones down into the floor. And then come forwards, hinging at the hips, keeping the head lifted, keeping the heart area lifted, keeping the tailbone down to the floor. And then, if you can create 2 fists with your hands, and then rest your head down onto the 2 fists. Or if you can't do that, then you can use blocks. Use the blocks however you need. Or you can just stay lifting your head. Or you can always get a bolster and rest your head on the bolster, like this. So just whichever is most effective for your body. So this pose really broadens out the glutes, giving you space in the hips. If you're in half padmasana, you'll feel it more on one side, on the upper leg side than the other, but we'll even that out in a moment. Okay, and then lift your head and then come back to the centre. Just feel how the seat bones feel balanced on the floor. So whichever way you're crossing your legs, if you're in half padmasana and one leg is on the top, then you're going to swap it around and bring the other leg on the top. If you were crossing your legs one way, then bring the other leg out in front. So just find the kind of mirror image of your swastikasana or half padmasana. So observe initially how unusual that feels in the seat bones. How maybe it just shows you how you learn to compensate when you cross your legs the other way. So maybe you need to just roll over and move the buttock flesh out of the way a little. Lift up into the chest. Bring your hands to the sides of the hips, lifting up into the heart area. Press in the fingertips really firmly into the floor, like you want to lift off the seat bones. And then keep the head lifted. Keep the heart area lifted as you come forwards. Coming forwards a little at a time, staying at the first stage if this is too strong for your back. And then reach forwards. Use the blocks under your hands, or just stay on the first stage. Get a bolster if you need it for underneath your head. Stretching forwards, and then create a couple of fists for your hands. Put one on top of the other, but swap them around so you do the opposite way to how you had them last time. And then rest your forehead down. So at this stage you do round the back a little, but try and keep the front chest lifted. Just enjoying the restful sensation of the pose. Just observing how it challenges the hip of the upper leg or the forward leg. Okay, and then lift your head. Just bring yourself back to the center. Just hold onto your knee. Observe that feeling of quietness in the brain that comes from forward bending poses. And then just bring the legs into just straightforward swastikasana. If you feel that you need to sit on a lift, then do. Otherwise, lift the chest, elevating the heart area upwards, and then turn to the right side. Drawing your abdomen across and your ribs and your shoulders. And then come back to the center, hold onto your knees. Lift up into your chest and then turn to the left. And then gently come back to the center. Just come down onto your back. And then we're just going to very briefly come up into setubandha. So get yourself a block, turn the tailbone in, lift the seat bones up off the floor. You can do setubandha if you prefer not to do this. So laying on your back with the feet together, the knees apart. Just place setubandha, so place the block into the tailbone region. Hold onto the edges of the mat and turn yourself up onto the tops of the shoulders. Gathering the shoulder blades together. You can either stay with the legs straight, so legs bent, or straighten one leg then the other. See how that feels in your back, and then if that feels okay, you can lengthen both legs away. So we're not going to stay very long, just an opportunity to just stretch out with the block in the tailbone, just really stretching out the front of the hip. Keep the legs firmly in Tadasana, tightened at the kneecap if you're straightening them anyway, and then turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, turn the inner knees down towards the floor. Okay, bring your feet back so that they're just bending, the feet are flat on the floor. And then maybe come up onto the tiptoes a little, lift the tailbone up off the block, adjust your shoulders on the way down, and then just draw yourself down onto the floor. Pull your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, maybe even get hold of the outside edge of the feet, have the feet apart, and then just rock from side to side in happy baby. Just find where the sweet spot is and just try and work into that region. And then release, and then roll onto your side, sit yourself up, and then get a folded blanket for underneath your head. Just make sure that it's evenly folded. Lay yourself out right down the center of your mat, and then just rest your head on block on the blanket even so, and then just let the body completely release into the floor. Allow the body to become heavy. Let go completely. Just focus on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Observe that as you allow the body to become heavy, the sensation of energetic lightness begins to radiate from the bones and into the muscles and the organs and the flesh and the skin. Your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness evenly down into the tips of the toes, into the tips of the fingers, and up into the top of the head. Just basking in that feeling of energetic lightness. And then wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes. And then bring your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then gently roll over onto your side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into the seated position. Just come into crossed legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose and down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the inversions and the twists bring to the body and to the mind. And then with an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside around the heart area. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. Very gently release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. Bring the tip of the index fingers with the tips of the thumbs Just a gesture of wisdom and intelligence and peacefulness that you can bring into your day. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you're giving yourself a really good stretch, especially around the hips and the lower back.